Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is part 2 of the platform game Dog's Dinner. Let's begin. We left off as a treat for the dog, Bones. Now we're going to add junk food. The dog is having a rather easy time of it with all those bones to eat. Adding some obstacles and hazards will make the game more difficult. Start with the flying donut. Go to the sprites library and select donut and load it into the game. Now let's add this setup code to shrink and position the donut for each level. Let's add the start code to get the donut patrolling back and forth. Now we want to add just one last bit of code to detect a collision with the player block in the end of the game. Junk food really is bad for you. Now, let's try running the game and try getting past the donut. If you hit the donut, the dog will stop and howl. This might not happen in your code, but as you can see, the donut is sliding back and forth on the second level, and it's impossible for my dog to get through. We're going to fix that later on. For now, let's move on to the hazardous snacks. As well as the flying donuts, there are a number of fixed traps on these levels. To keep things simple, all these hazards are part of a single sprite with 3 different costumes, one for each level. Create a new blank sprite called Hazards and add the 2 code blocks shown here. The setup code selects the correct costume for the level and centers it on the stage, just like in platforms. Click on the setup code to center the sprite before you design its costumes. You need 3 costumes for the hazard sprite. Click on Choose a Costume at the lower left of the window and select Cheesy Puffs as the first costume. Click on this button twice more to add 2 Cake A sprites as the second and third costumes. Delete costume 1 from the costumes list. Use the select tool to make all the costumes smaller and position them. Use 1 bowl of cheese puffs in level 1. Use 2 cakes in level 2, and use 1 cake in level 3. Here's a trick that I find easiest to do. I use the select tool and I select the costume and I make it smaller. Then I duplicate it and put it on a different place on the sprites list. Okay, now it's time for my favorite part of this project, and that's by fine-tuning our project to make it look a bit more professional. Now that our platforms, portals, bones, and hazards are all in roughly the right place, run the project and see if the game works. You might find that some sprites are positioned correctly. The game might be too tricky, or the dog might get stuck. If so, you need to fine-tune your levels. The hints and tips here will also be handy if you want to design your new levels. Most problems can be fixed by adjusting the positions and the sizes of the platforms. Select the platform sprite and click on the Costumes tab. Use the Select tool in the Paint Editor to move, stretch, or resize the level 1 platforms. You could even use the same method to fine-tune the position of the hazard sprite. Select it in the sprites list and click on the Costumes tab. Use the Select tool to adjust the position of the snack in the first costume. Click outside the selection box to check your changes on the stage. You could reposition all the other sprites by using their X and Y coordinates. Select a sprite on the stage and drag it where you want. Make a note of its X and Y numbers that appear in the information panel. Copy the numbers into the blue Go To box in the sprite's level 1 code. Here's an expert tip. To reposition a sprite perfectly, use a sneaky trick. First, drag the sprite on the stage to where you want it. Then look at the unusual Go To block in the Motion section, underneath the Code tab. The sprite's coordinates will have appeared automatically in this block. Now you can simply drag the block into your code without needing to do any typing. Easy! If you need to move the sliding donut, bear in mind that the Go To block sets it in its start position. To change how far it slides, adjust the numbers in its 2 repeat loops. One controls how far it goes to the right and the other to the left. You should now have level 1 working beautifully. To work on other levels and its sprites, you can make temporary change to the code of the game control sprite. Change the number in the set level to block 2. Run the game and level 2 appears on the stage. Fine-tune your sprite's positions, but remember to change the number in set level 2 back to 1 when you're done. Now, it's time to add signs. The game won't be complete until you've added some instructions and other messages for the player. You can also load some music into it to make it even more entertaining. To show the correct sign to the player when the signs sprite receives a message, add the 3 code blocks below. To give instructions and other messages to the player, use the paintbrush symbol in the sprites menu to create a new blank sprite and call it signs. Then use the paintbrush symbol in the costumes menu to add the comments below to the sign sprite. Name them instructions, win, and lose. For the last 2 signs, you can even use the white rectangle in bitmap mode to make a background. Run run your platform game. It should work beautifully. I can't wait to see what other things you guys come up with. Thanks for watching. Bye!